Hello. Welcome to the second round of LocWorld's 17th Process Innovation Challenge. These are the 3cubed preliminary rounds. We have 16 great innovators that are competing yesterday and today for a chance to move on to the final round that will take place on Tuesday, October 29th at LocWorld52 Conference in Monterey, California. Today's session is being recorded and will be published on the LocWorld YouTube channel and pick playlist later today, so you can go back and watch. I do want to mention that one of our dragons, Alessandra Minazzi, unfortunately is not able to join us today. She's provided us with some questions, which Dave and I will ask in her place, and Alessandra will be able to look back and contribute to the judging afterwards anyway. So, Dave, how's it going today?
Really well. Afternoon here, Friday afternoon, for anyone who cares. And as the
You're
sun
ready for the
goes,
weekend.
it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but we've innovations to do. So let's talk a little bit about that. As Alex said, it's pick number 17, 16 innovators over 2 rounds. And we're really happy to run this second round. We've got 9 people today, which is great. The rules, very simple. 3cubed is what we call this. So innovators have 3 minutes to pitch 3 slides and to 3 dragons. And Alex, who are our dragons?
So I mentioned our veteran dragon, Alessandra Minazzi, unfortunately isn't here today, but will be joining us in spirit and helping vote. We're thrilled to have 2 newcomers as dragons. Mary Kazmias, how are you today, Mary?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to hear more about the different innovators today.
It's great to see you again, and also thrilled to have from Nimdzi, Renato Benanato. How are you today, Renato?
Very good, and excited to be here for the first time after following 16 editions before from the audience. This time I'm going to be on stage with you guys.
From a fan to a dragon.
Exactly. There we go.
Could be a Netflix series, huh? All right. Brilliant. And, well, it's the pick. You know, the I stands for innovation, innovators, right? We have 9 innovators today. We're going to kick things off with Frederik. So, Frederik, we'll ask you to join us on stage. We'll get you going, and you just get us to move your slides forward. Frederik.
Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Frederik Pedersen. I'm the CEO of Easy Translate. I'm here to present Human Eye. Next slide, please. So over the past years, we have done some analysis on all the MTPE work that we have done for customers. And we realized that actually only 10% of the content needed human edits, or actually had any human edits if we were using well-trained custom machine translation engines, which kind of ended up having customers spending a lot of money and a lot of time on content that actually didn't need any edits. Next slide, please. And that made us think last year, okay, how could we eventually build a product that could increase the turnaround time, or actually decrease the turnaround time, bring down cost, and eventually also increase the quality. So we have developed Human Eye, which is mimicking the human translation flows. So the models learn tone of voice. It learns the glossaries that have been utilized for the specific customers, and all kind of the language assets are built into the models. And without any human interactions, we are doing all the translation and predicting which segments has a low confidence score, and eventually also what the reasoning is behind actually having a separate revision on this specific step. And by this, next slide, please. We have by this we have enabled us to increase the turnaround or decrease the turnaround time so that we can produce 10 times the volumes. But most importantly is that we have increased the quality. So based on 1 million words that we have done randomized QA on, there is, when we are talking human translation, approximately 1 mistake per 150 words. And with the Human Eye translations, we are looking towards 1 mistake per 1,000 words. and that enables the freelancers to increase their productivity. And also, which most importantly is that customers of ours, language service providers, they have increased their gross margin with 50%, and they have enabled to have a quicker turnaround times with higher quality translations.
Wonderful. Frederik, thank you very much. Dragons, questions?
I'll start. Frederik, good to see you. You were an early adopter of AI in your workflows. The question is, are you selling this product? What is the business model behind this? Because you're offering this for LSPs.
Yeah, so LSP can buy human-alike translation for €1 per word.
Okay. So the model is a per word model. Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it comes, of course, with a subscription.
And it
Great.
works
works with any platform, with any TMS system. What is the environment?
Any is maybe, to expand it, but eventually we have an integration with Blackbird, and we have a REST API that you can integrate with any tool, and it takes approximately one and a half week to implement it with, for instance, Plunet or other TMS systems. So it's fairly easy, and it also has a full TMS environment if you wish to replace your TMS system with our tool in total. So we also have cat functionality, string libraries for software development, etc.
Thank you.
And Frederik, I noticed in the notes that you had some statistics. You were talking about cutting everything down to 90% efficiency. But wasn't that, or did I hear correctly? You said that all of this was based on the fact that you have these libraries, these MT engines that were customized. You had a lot of data. So is the success of this workflow and the efficiency not based on very specific customers and their data or language pairs?
Very important. These models are built per customer basis.
Mm-hmm.
So customer A data and customer B data has nothing, interlinked,
Mm-hmm.
which also means that that in some cases it's a requirement that we build up the language assets before you can get the models to work. But we also see, which I think is more interesting, maybe for another PIC page, but is that eventually often we see that the language assets is outdated. So you have translation memories, glossaries with inconsistency, etc. But also you see that you have huge translation memories that have been built over 10 years. And eventually 80% of all the translation memories, they actually don't like. So as everything else, companies are developing their tone of voice. If you look at, for instance, German companies, they have went from being very formal in the communication, and now a lot of companies is twisting that kind of communication. That would eventually mean that you need to either clean up or do some modifications to the language assets.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dragons. Frederik, thank you very much. Great job. All right.
Thanks.
And
Thanks for having me.
good to have you here again. I see Shirley. I see Shirley's here. We'll just ask Shirley to join us and unmute.
Yes, I am on mute. I am updating my Zoom because I can't figure out how the video, how I can enable the video here on the web app.
Okay.
Maybe I'll just not show on camera. Is that
That's
okay?
okay.
Or do you want to come
Yeah, that's
back?
fine.
Do you want to come back to her?
My Zoom is updating. Let me see if I can get it.
So Shirley, what we can do,
Yeah.
if you like, we'll give you the option, is we can come back to you after the next person, if it gives you a chance to see if Zoom will work for you.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds
Great.
good. Thank you.
We'll come right back to you. Great. So let's get Denise up on stage. Hi, Denise.
Hello. I'm
We have
ready.
you All right, we have you spotlighted. We can hear you loud and clear. We'll get Dave to queue up the slides.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
I'll mute
So-
Shirley just in case that happens again.
All right, Denise, you're ready to go? Your slides are up. Over to you.
I represent AI Venture Corporation. This is a partner company of VidBy Technology, Video Translated By. We have a rich experience of translation of videos with AI technologies. And now I represent our new result of our new research and development, AI translation and dubbing with interlingual emotional transfer. Please, this next slide. We are working in technologies since 2014, and last 2 years actively with translation with emotions. And we understand that approximately 9 of our potential clients from 10 require emotions. Emotions are much more important, even the accurate translation. And actually, only 2 sectors now actively use translation, AI translation without emotions: documentaries and educational content. But if we speak about lifestyle, sports, entertainment, broadcasting, gaming, cartoons, feature films, emotions are crucial for this. And the production companies who produce this content, they continue to use human translation and human dubbing because they need emotions. As soon emotional translation appear, they will switch, definitely will switch to translation with emotions. Please, next slide. About how this innovation will revolutionize the market. First of all, now all big players like Google, Microsoft, and other, they created a huge library of different voices, but they have just intonation, but they don't have emotions. It's not impossible to use them for translation of emotional content. For example, like feature film. I live in Los Angeles, and I am a member of 2 professional associations: Hollywood Professional Association and the Society of Motion Picture Television Engineers. And I understand when companies produce feature film. For example, at the first minute, character should say, "I love you," with emotions of inspiration. But later, on the 10th minute, the same character, another character, should say, "I love you," with sarcasm. And now AI translation can transfer these emotions. And so the main way of development of AI translation is to enrich emotions, to add emotions with the translation. And so, as I said, all these libraries of a huge amount of voices and technologies that created by now, they will be like a garbage. This is it. Of course, somebody can use it. It will be like Nokia, but we will create iPhone.
10 seconds.
Yes, and moreover, the market will increase because more people will use this. Currently, we use this technology in some cases for our AI and video translations. For example, YouTube videos, we are recommended vendor of YouTube. And also, we will use this technology in real-time voice translation. Recently, we launched Google Meet real-time voice-to-voice translation in Google Meet and Zoom, and soon in Microsoft. They also require emotions. And promising markets, real-time customer support with emotions. It will be much better. And the robotics with emotions. It's possible.
Thanks, Denise.
To create
we have to cut you off there. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Questions from the dragons.
Denise, do you this kind of real life dubbing? Does this work only for narration, or do you do also live action? And if you have lip syncing together with it?
Yes, of course. We created technology of lip sync. but we do not recommend to use it very often because as soon as you make any modification with lips, immediately people start think that this is fakes. Only two markets who can use this. Of course, cartoons, because this is fake. This is it's not real video. And also the next market, if you really want to make fake, only two markets are really inspired to use lip sync. In all other cases, we do not recommend to make any modification. Timing, yes, the start of the phrase and then the end of the phrase, it's very important. And we have this timing modification. But if we modify videos, immediately less trust. We have rich experience and we understand how it works and what what real customers, paying customers prefer, not just for fun, but for real business.
Okay, thank you.
But technically we can do it. It's not a problem. And moreover, our new technology is text replacement. This is very important. For example, if you have video, educational video, and all slides, for example, in Chinese, and you show it to American audience, nobody understands what is on the screen. But AI immediate text replacement, this is really crucial for some markets, especially education.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Renato. Thanks, Denise. We have to move on, but really appreciate your innovation. Thank you very much. And next up is Veronica. So we'll ask Veronica to join us. And just to remind everybody, so you've 3 minutes on pitch, and then we'll take questions. We might drop in an extra question if we have time from Alessandra, who's not joining us today. So Veronica, I hope you're ready. Over to you.
As ready as I can be. All right, you can just go to the next slide and start the video whenever you're ready. So it's 2024. And AI is out there flying drones and probably telling you which houseplant you're neglecting. But here we are, still talking about client portals. I know you're thinking, Veronica, a client portal, is this 1995? But before you check out, walk with me for a bit. If we figured out this process, why are Fortune 100 companies still managing translation and interpreting through email? In-house teams using Excel to schedule interpreters, and why are clients stuck with 10 logins for orders, quotes, interpreting, invoicing, and who knows what else? The lowest hanging fruit is usually completely overlooked because, well, it's not cool enough, but could save thousands of hours and increase revenue. A one-stop language ordering experience. Your digital storefront for language operations that makes translation, interpreting, quoting, invoicing, external comm, and more into one single login, just one. We've all been focused on the shiny new toys, AI this, automation that, but in our rush for innovation, many of us have moved so far ahead that we've overlooked the basics. Meanwhile, many clients are still trying to figure out the difference between a translator and an interpreter. To them, it's all language services. With us, that confusion is gone. They have one login, submitting a request is faster than email. There's so much untapped opportunity in a system that doesn't focus on how the engines work to get the translations done, but one that's laser focused on the client's experience. What's in it for you as a language provider? Your brand front and center at every step with a full white label platform, not just an extension of a cat tool. Customize every color, form, notification, and piece of text as if it was a system custom built for you. No more messy emails. Oops, I lost that invoice. Everything is under one roof. Outsource to vendors in 2 clicks, see how far they are from an assignment, or figure out how much they actually might cost you. No middleman, no extra effort, no retyping in requests to other people's portals, and tech agnostic flexibility. Want to try new AI tools? No problem, your clients will never know. But most importantly, it saves you time and money, because here's some real cases we've received. A government body handling 100,000 requests a year was losing 5,000 hours annually, almost 2 full-time employees. Or a major US school district where 3 full-time staff's only job was retyping Google Form submissions into vendor portals. If we're still having this conversation in 2024, we haven't fixed the basics. So let's grab this low-hanging fruit. It may seem analog, but it's critical. The return on investment is huge, and then we can focus guilt-free on all the cool stuff. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. And
The
we're still in
second, that was 3
2024.
minutes. Exactly. Nice, nice. Well done.
Brilliant. Dragons, questions?
Yeah, thanks, Veronica. I love the idea of going back to the basics because sometimes kicking it old school is a good thing. So at the end of the day, is this a product or a platform that you would be selling to potentially LSPs, to just any organizations? Like, who's your target market here?
Our biggest target, we've seen the biggest adoption within in-house teams, both corporate and government and school, originally was actually built for LSPs and freelancers to almost operate with the polish of an LSP without the price tag.
Got it. Got it. And you showed the Nimsy poster. I'm sure Renato's going to love that one.
I didn't know, Renato, that you were actually going to be on this when I did that.
I was like, that's cute. So are you saying that you have a wide variety of integrations already established, or that's the objective?
So we have a 2-click integration with the whole Trados cloud suite. We do offer custom integrations as well in an API. So our Trados integration is completely free and again, 2 clicks. But yeah, we see that swap a lot because the technology right now is changing so much. And at least they can maintain a cohesive digital storefront experience for the clients, and they can experiment as much as they want on the back end. So it's been helpful for people.
Got it. Thanks, Veronica.
And my question is this a live product? Is this something that is being used already, or is still in the development phase? Well, it never stops being developed, but
True. No, it's being, as I said, our biggest use case has actually been in-house teams on the government sector. That has been something that's been unexpected for us, but LSPs and freelancers do use it a lot as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Veronica. Great show. At this point, we're going to just check in with Shirley. So Shirley, not sure how you're getting on with Zoom, but if you would like, we could have you join us again.
Let's see. I think we can get her on stage here.
Hi, Shirley.
Hi, Shirley. Now we can see you.
Thank you. Sorry for the technical problems at the beginning.
No problem at all. And we hear you and see you, and we'll queue up your slides here.
Great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am Shirley Xu, and today I'm excited to share my process innovation idea, tag AI context-aware tag reinsertion for optimized machine translation. I want to make a disclaimer first. While I am a program manager at AWS, what I'm presenting today is my own pet project and not related to AWS. In fact, the examples that I used today for my experiment come from Azure, our competitor. Next slide, please. The idea behind tag AI came from noticing how tags commonly used in technical content to preserve formatting like product names, etc., often make machine translation output worse. So here is an example of a machine translation with and without tags. On the left, you will see the one with the tags, and then the one on the right is the plain text, the empty output with the plain text. You can see the text translation is brief. Probably you won't read Chinese, but I can tell you that it is missing the logical connection, while the untagged translation performs a lot better and is preserving all the elements from the English source. Next slide, please. The proposed workflow is simple. First step would be to remove the tags from the English source. This isolates the content for a cleaner translation. Second step will be to run the plain text through machine translation engine. So this process is expected to improve the translation quality since there are no tags to interfere. The third one would be to reinsert the tags back into the translated content. This is the most complex part where I leverage GPT, or you can use other LLMs too to handle the tag reinsertion. Next slide, please. So for my experiment, I used ChatGPT, few shot prompting techniques with ChatGPT. The workflow went like this. So I first created an XML source file using the text from Azure's public available website. And then I add the tags back into the plain text and preserve and created an XML format. And then I use Google Translate to translate the plain text. And then finally, I prompted GPT to reinsert the text back into the translated text while preserving the XML structure. After some trial and errors with prompts, GPT was actually very successfully preserved both the XML formatting and the correct tag placement, delivering very impressive results. So that is my idea. If you want to learn more, have questions, feel free to ask me. Thank you.
This is, I'm going to jump in with a question for Alessandra. So pretend I'm Alessandra for a second. I have 2 words of Italian, so don't test me too much. But this is really interesting because you're almost undoing what was done, right? So the tag replacement, the idea was to have a way to take placeholders and just kind of, gray them out, so to speak. But you're bringing them back in for context. Where'd you get the idea from? Like, was this something you just said, oh, this translation is not good, it could be better, or some other way?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the work that I'm doing right now, I receive a lot of I looked at a lot of examples, and when there are poor quality translation from our MT process, I noticed that a lot of the times it's coming from the tagged content or the tags that are being placed at the wrong position. So it has been causing me a lot of headaches, to be honest. And that's why I was like, why don't we just remove the tags completely? And then when I first had this idea, I did a very simple experiment, which is to just copy and paste the plain text English into any MT, and the result came out wow. But after like all our complicated process of handling the tags, handling the non-translatables, the terminologies, etc., all the regex rules, the preparations. After all this, the MT output got poor. So that's when the idea of removing the tags all at the beginning came to my mind. And that unfortunately, that idea did not get prioritized, so it's become my pet project. And then I have been working on it during my spare time. And I'm very pleasantly surprised to see the result.
Wonderful. We'll take another question from Mario Renato.
A quick question: have you tried this in large volumes, or because this is just a small sample and a model? How resilient is this model?
That is a good question. So I've only tried this in a dozen of XML files that I created. The output is surprisingly good. My next step would be with the result that I have, I am looking into putting it into scale. So I will need to think about how to batch the prompts, how to integrate it into the existing workflows and the tools that we have. Yeah, so that will be my next step.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Super interesting, Shirley. Thank you for sharing, and well done. and we will move on. So we just need to do a little bit of order shifting. So let me just get the slides up. You can talk amongst yourselves for a second.
And while you're doing that, we'll invite Craig up to the stage. Craig, I've got you spotlighted. Can you say a few words?
Yes, I can. Hi.
We can hear you loud and clear. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Yeah, not too bad.
Great. And Dave is queuing up the slides.
You're ready.
Perfect timing. Craig, over to you.
Thank you so much. So yes, I'm Craig Stewart. I'm Director of AI Research at Phrase. We can jump right into the problem statement at the beginning here. So we're interested in the what we're calling the content funnel problem. So this is a common problem in localization, but we're focused specifically on areas or domains where there's high risk involved, right? And in a lot of cases where you're trying to apply automated translation, like machine translation, to a problem, there's an inherent risk to it, right? And so that necessitates for customers in the medical and legal domain, for example, to include human review in the process. This creates a bottleneck and a funnel, which for people with restrictive budgets means that a lot of the content that they produce can't quite get to the end user, and particularly where there's sensitivity in the content, there's specific risks in allowing that content through without human review. Skip to the next slide. I'll show you the solution we have. What we're interested in doing with the solution is opening up that funnel and allowing much more of the content to get through with the help of some automated steps. We have two steps in here. We have an automated review step, which is an LLM-based review, which takes the machine translation content and tidies it up, fixes some of the inconsistencies, terminology issues, style, brand, that kind of thing, which is also configurable by the customer such that they can specify themselves their expectation. And then we have an automated evaluation step. This is critical in reducing our risk. So what we have here is a stack of technology, a veritable gauntlet of technologies and gates that the content has to get through before it either reaches human review or is routed directly past the human to the customer. So what we're trying to do here is lock the segments for human review, whereby they meet a particular criteria that's specified by the customer. You can then skip to the final slide where I'll talk about a case study that we have. So we're working very closely with the leading B2C app in the health and fitness sector who have exactly this problem, right? They have a bunch of highly sensitive medical content. The nature of the content, they're targeting particular demographics where the content carries a risk of embarrassment or offense if particular terminology is misused and that kind of thing. And they have a very, very highly refined brand voice. They have exactly this content funnel problem in the sense that they have a backlog of content that they're unable to get to their end users in different countries and different languages because of the fact they have a restrictive budget that necessitates human review. So what they wanted to do was to automate a lot of the process to get a lot of this backlog to their end users and automate the process such that they have only 15% of the content reviewed by humans. We've worked with them over the past few months in building the pipeline and customizing it with them. And the result is positive in the sense that they are on track to meet that objective of releasing this content to their customers and also forecasting net savings of approximately $50,000 per million words. We've had some strong positive feedback on the combination of review, which I think comes from the LLM-based review itself, which is very, very successful using the latest of the technology that's available. Specifically at the moment through OpenAI, we're using ChatGPT 4o and a combination of other things, especially the automated evaluation that's doing the work of mitigating a lot of the risk of using automated solutions. Yeah. Happy to take questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Craig. Dragons, questions for Craig?
Many questions. So I like the stackable, the slide that you had that shows the stacks, if you will, of the steps. Is it possible that if the result isn't optimal, that you go back and it sort of repeats some of those steps as well? And why have the review before the quality estimation? Have you experimented in the other?
Exactly. So it's intentionally modular for exactly that reason, right? Is that the customer, in particularly, this is the basic workflow that we've produced. But of course, being modular, we could stack the automated evaluation again at the end. And in fact, in some cases, I simplified things for the purpose of the presentation, but we can run the evaluation again after review and after the human review as well to give comfort to the customer. Because that's
Got
what it's all about. It's really about comfort in mitigating that risk.
Right. The example you gave is not a very high risk in terms of regulated content, something that, you know, could cause death or financial loss or whatever. Do you have any case studies, use cases of running this process with content that is a little bit more, not just high visibility, but also could carry you know, a certain amount of legal or
Yeah,
other
I
types
wasn't
of
able
risk?
to give. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, I wasn't able to give specific detail on the example that we have, but there is very specific risk attached to this sensitivity of this content. In particular, this is medical information that can cause embarrassment or offense, and specifically in cultures where this type of information carries particular cultural weight, there are very serious ramifications for misstep. So there's very high risk. But this is the case study that we focused on for the time being. We've not yet branched out into other areas.
Thanks.
Is this across, how many languages were involved in this project? And is this performance across languages, or do you see variation?
No, we've tested it on the initial testing with linguists. We've done with 5 languages. The solutions itself, we've automated evaluations on a much broader range of languages, but the feedback we have from linguists is based on 5 language pairs.
Okay.
And it's strong across language pairs. Yeah.
Excellent.
Great. Thanks, Dragons. Thank you, Craig. Very
Thank
well
you.
done.
Great.
Great stuff. All right, let's move it on. So we'll ask Romina to join us on stage.
Absolutely.
Hi, Romina.
Hi, everyone. I'm Romina Cini, and I'm the Director of Project Management at Language Scientific. We can jump right in. Next slide, please. Yeah. So we all know video is the main means of communication, training, education these days. And so companies need faster and cheaper solutions to achieve this, which can be really hard for LSPs many times because these workflows are very complicated and human intensive. So we thought of a solution by combining carefully tested AI solutions, but pairing them with specialized human knowledge. So we did a test project where we took an 11-minute video in English and localized it into Chinese and Spanish, and we tested different tools for each step we meant to replace. So for transcription and time coding, we found that Mixup was the best tool because they were able to provide time transcriptions, shorter segments, which is essential to meet subtitling requirements. Then Amazon Transcribe and Whisper were better for voiceover because they produce longer segments, and it's very important to maintain long units in order to be able to improve prosody of synthetic outputs later on. For human translation, we found that Amazon and Google were the best options because they were the ones that integrated the best with CAT tools. They're easy to use, and they overall had the lowest costs. And then for subtitling, we found that Matesub was the best option because it produced better results in terms of conformity to length and reading time constraints. And then Speechify was the best option for voiceover because it had the highest quality of synthetic outputs, and also it has an integrated editor, which makes it much easier and more efficient to update anything that you may need to update. And we can move to the next slide. So we replaced these steps, but we kept human steps for today at key execution points, and so that we could reduce timelines at cost, but also maintain quality. And the results were very favorable. Both our technical resources and linguists reported very good outputs, and they said they were able to work with the outputs they received and improve upon them. Next slide, please. So we found a lot of efficiencies to be made, and this is the information is very substantial. 57 time and labor reduction for subtitling and 50% for voiceover. And the main time gains were seen in transcription, translation, and video engineering. So on our end, our thoughts are, first of all, application. It's essential to know which videos to choose. Not every video is a good candidate for this workflow, we find. So for example, good candidates can be videos with very well-written scripts, videos with slides with only a handful of speakers, educational and training videos, for example. So what we're doing now is we're currently training our teams, we're finalizing our workflow, and we plan to start offering this to our clients next year. So our conclusion is, we all know how many attractive AI tools are out there. It can be a little overwhelming, and AI can optimize a lot of what we do, but the key here is to assign a hybrid workflow that can leverage both AI and human strengths.
Great. Thank you very much, Romina. Very interesting. Dragons, I'm sure you have questions.
Okay, my question is about the process. So what you're really pitching is a process. You evaluated the solutions, you identified the best solution, and what you're identifying is an automated process where you can reduce the time, the results that you presented in the last slide. So there's no technology component that you're adding, and this is called a process innovation challenge. So what you're pitching is the process, just to make it clear.
Absolutely. The problem we saw is there's a lot of tools that seemingly offer a one-stop solution, but then in real case scenarios, what our clients need, it's really not either feasible or really easy to apply with the current teams and the resources you have. Or you could apply it, but it wouldn't really make a big difference in terms of efficiency or time. And it's also working with what our clients actually have, what types of videos they have, what types of materials do they give us? Are they compatible or are they easily adaptable so that we can actually improve upon this process and remove steps that don't need to be handled by a human, but keep the ones that are very, very important, so that you can build on this efficiency but maintain a level of quality. And it also allows our clients to be able to access localization for projects they may not even have the budget for before.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Is there any other
One
question?
question? No. Okay. Romina, you've answered all the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good stuff. And next up, we'll ask Connie to join us. And moving through very nicely, folks. Thanks very much, Innovators and Dragons. Connie, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Loud and
Yes,
clear.
we can.
Great.
Over to you, Connie.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm Connie, I lead language quality at Uber. I'm here to represent and talk about how we apply AI-driven 360 quality management at Uber. Next slide, please. As a data-driven company on target to process hundreds of millions of words by end of year, we are constantly analyzing where are we spending the most money, where are we applying the most operational man hours, how do we reduce costs while also maintaining the high quality bar that we also need. So the light blue is where we apply still human in the loop related efforts. The green is machine translation, which we already have been using for many years. And pink is where we're applying LLM technologies and where we're investing in more LLM driven based technologies. Uber is unique in that terminology is very important to us, especially legal terminology, so that Uber can remain legally compliant in a constantly changing legal environment for us. For example, in Korea, Uber cannot be used. Korea only allows licensed taxis in the market, so every instance of Uber actually has to say Uber taxi or UT. That is only one example of many in a constantly changing landscape. With these challenges, it can cost a company of our size hundreds of thousands of dollars for human loop manual efforts, just to review translation quality, even with using MT and LM, updating our TMs, updating our glossaries, and extracting the right terms that may need to be added and updated. I'd like to put a spotlight on a couple of in-house built AI tools we've been developing and investing in in-house as part of our 360 AI quality management. Next slide. The first one is Term Extractor, which applies NLP, natural language processing techniques, as well as LLM, to find and analyze parts of speech, terms that have high frequencies, and other parameters that are unique to Uber's business needs. This tool helps us to replace the human effort to need to extract this on a manual basis and ensures that we are applying the most appropriate terminologies and updating the translations for them accordingly. As you can see here, and we can download it and we can propagate that. The next slide. I'd like to also put a spotlight on another tool that we've been investing in, which is an LLM-driven tool we're using, to help us evaluate errors using our unique MQM framework, which has Uber-specific unique error categories. This is still a work in progress. It's still something that we are developing, but it is something that we are planning to use to help optimize our quality evaluations, complement our existing tech stack that uses AI and machine translations already today to help us manage and evaluate our language quality at scale. Next slide. So the big bold bet from using AutoMQM as well as Term Extractor is using these AI-driven techniques, LM and NLP, to help us evaluate overall machine translation quality, using more of an MQM-oriented framework, enhancing our evaluation efforts, and applying smarter post-editing by adding human loop backend only where it matters. And so with that, that's pretty much a summary of our 360 AI-driven quality management framework, and with a spotlight on a couple of the tools that we're investing in. I'll be happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Connie. Very interesting. Dragons, questions?
So I actually have a question real quick from Alessandra, and then we'll go to you, Mary, just a second. So what happens after the term extraction and mining? Is the metadata actually extracted along with the term? And is there another curation step, human or automated?
Yes, it does extract metadata with the terms. We then actually get it translated, and that is a combination of human translation or automated translation. So if it's a term or a market that might require human in the loop because of sensitivity, we'll push it through human in the loop. If it's not, then we'll just automatically translate it. So we'll do it for languages and markets where we need to support it, but Uber may not operate may not actually operate. And then, sorry, the second part of your question was, can you repeat that?
Is there a curation step, either human or automated on the back end?
Yeah, I think what I just said kind of hopefully answers that. So
yeah, that was the second.
Yeah, it's a combination hybrid of both.
Great. Thank you. Mary?
Just really quickly, the stats or the KPIs that you had mentioned earlier, is this across all languages, across the savings that you've seen so far? Did you have that same success rate across all languages, or just maybe some key languages in your pool?
I'm not really disclosing exactly like in terms, the numbers and cost savings, but like in a general like ratio sense, like this is still something that's work in progress and analyzing. We're projecting. We're still in a phase where we're projecting, and because these tools have are pretty new in terms of being deployed. Well, the first one was only deployed as of this year. The second one's still work in progress. So we're still monitoring and seeing what the actual, if it's going to meet the projected cost savings that we're expecting to see.
And I have a question regarding the Excel, the dreaded Excel report. Did I understand correctly that you're automatically categorizing the errors? Is that what that slide on the Excel spreadsheet was trying to show?
Yes, that's the second tool, we call it AutoMQM. But yes, that's automated essentially quality evaluation by classifying and categorizing error categories and the severity levels using our unique sort of error typology that we have. So Uber has a very specific unique MQM framework where certain categories are more important to us than others. So we applied our framework in terms of our error categories and severity levels. But that is correct. That's what you were saying in the spreadsheet, is that the error categorization output.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dragons, and really nice job there, Connie. And thank you. Next up is Gabriel Fairman. So Gabriel, ask you to join us.
Yeah, can everybody hear me and see me?
We can hear you. We can see you.
Gabriel.
Perfect.
All right.
All right.
We'll get you going. Let me just launch this for you.
Can we start over, please?
You want to start over? Sure.
Yes, please.
All right. Okay.
All right. Hi, my name is Gabriel Fairman, and I'd like to introduce you to Sous Chef, our latest technological breakthrough. Let's start by addressing the problem. Translators, reviewers, and marketers, they all spend countless amount of hours translating, but the most important part of the work, the knowledge that they accumulate in the process, ends up disposed. Human ingenuity is just incredible. There are so many microtextual inferences and decisions. I think the video seems jammed. Okay. There are so many microtextual inferences and decisions made during the translation process. Deep but subtle flavors, such as making it more witty, less serious, less jargony, or more accessible. All that richness ends up being lost in the translation process. It's like we prepare the food, but we throw away the recipe. All of this literature that's inferred during the process is thrown away. So the editorial flavors, that wonderful recipe, lives only in the chef's mind. And if it's not the same chef, it's game over. Those same flavors will be very hard to achieve, if not lost forever. And while current translation tech does a great job with remembering specific sentences and terms, it doesn't do much when it comes to microtextual editorial flavors. This makes the translation process ineffective and expensive. If you think about a 10% inefficiency in the $64 billion market, that leads to $6.4 billion in losses per year. And trying to record and store this information in traditional ways is simply an unwinnable battle. There's just too much to record, and it's impossible to recall the right things at the right time. Enter BureauWorks Sous Chef, our latest breakthrough in agentic translations. The sous chef starts off mapping out all of the flavors it can detect and infer from the source text. Flavors like tone, style, audience demographics are then laid out before you, and you can redesign these flavors as you best see fit for the market and culture you're working on. So maybe in Brazil, you'll decide to make that email campaign business casual instead of witty and funny. Maybe in Japan, you'll make it really formal. Maybe in France, you'll make it slangy and focused on the Parisian crowd. These flavors will then become living editorial guidelines that will interact with you. The sous chef will infuse them in every translation feed. You can then accept or edit this feed, and the sous chef will be standing right there, waiting to savor that translation and flag deviations in the microtextual directives so that you can either reconsider or adapt your flavors on the fly. It's a beautiful cycle of tasting and learning. You can build completely different kinds of sous chef for different kinds of work, which is why we call it agentic translation. You can also guide the sous chef yourself with additional instructions that it will take into account during the food prep process, details that only you know are so crucial to be kept in mind. And the beauty is that all of this is already live in our DevOps environments, and the results, they're incredible. The big picture that we see is that we're going from lost wisdom buried under a pile of characters to true knowledge that's accessible, reachable, and available. Compared to Neural MT, we can bring edit distance down by 34%. We're able to cut down on edit time by 50%. True knowledge gets distributed. There's less dependency on specific people, and we can bring the light of true human ingenuity to so much more deserving content. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Gabriel, and thanks for your patience. We had a little glitch on one part of that, but well done on getting through. Dragons, questions for Gabriel?
A couple of questions. First of all, who is the target here? Is this the individual or is this the organization? What I liked when you described the problem is that a lot of knowledge is lost, especially when you have many translators working in the same project. Is this a benefit for the organization? Tell me a little bit about where does this benefit live?
I think the benefit lives all over the supply chain. I think that's the beauty of it, right? Because when the translator, exactly like you described it, when the translator is working, there's all this wealth of literary knowledge that gets lost and dissipated. This impacts translation agencies, this impacts enterprise translation buyers, this impacts translators themselves. So I think the beauty, it's working at a very subtle microtextual level, but then it impacts the supply chain as a whole.
Perfect. And I think that instead of oi estranho, you should say oi sumido. But that's
No, that was an example of the failures of current MT.
Okay, good.
Yeah. That slide there, we were actually exemplifying that current MT will fail in scenarios where you have more nuanced communication. And that's where maybe the biggest opportunity here is we finally see amazing results even in highly creative copywriting and marketing kind of contents.
Very good, very good. So it was supposed to be a weird translation.
Yeah, that slide was exemplifying the feels of MT in different languages.
Excellent.
Great.
Okay, great. Alex, do you have a question for Gabriel?
I'm sorry?
No, we don't have any more
Alessandra
questions.
didn't send one? Yeah. Mary, do you have a question?
Slides made me hungry, but I'm good.
Yeah, I thought you were going to give some freebies out to the audience there, Gabriel. Some food or something. And well done you and getting
maybe if I make it
Renato,
to the final.
Maybe in the final.
maybe in the final. What? Hey, all right.
Can't.
We don't do that.
We don't do
No.
that.
Oh,
You
sorry.
didn't hear that, Dragons?
That will not
But yeah,
impact our decision.
not at all. Well done, Gabriel. Great stuff. And
Thanks,
it's
Gabriel.
great to see that you got Renato to do some review work. It's fantastic.
We're linguists. We're always silently and not so silently correcting your grammar. Don't you know that?
The job. Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks,
Thank you.
Gabriel. Fabio, we'll ask you to join the stage.
Hi,
Hello.
Fabio.
Hi, everyone. So this is an innovation related to communication, multilingual communication, voice communication specifically. So you can go to the next slide. Forever losing your voice destroys your relationship with family and friends, work and life. So there are terrible pathologies that can cause permanent loss of voice, like ALS. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but you progressively lose control over your muscles, including those involved in speech. And within months or even weeks, your voice turns into a weak bubbling and then silence. So this leaves you reliant on caregivers that you cannot communicate with. There are also people with cancer at the larynx that are somehow, say, luckier, as they can be treated, but this needs removing your voice box. So without the larynx, you can no longer speak. There are millions of people today that can no longer use their voice to communicate. As you know, Translated is a company that likes challenges, and we are committed to breaking barriers in communication between people. So we accepted the challenge. We were reached, and we were asked to tackle the challenge of using AI for a useful social purpose, overcoming what seemed to be an impossible barrier. If you go to the next slide and start the video, please. So as usual, at Translated, we started with an unusual and a completely new way. So we invited people, a pool of people from different countries to record their voice in the studio, and we asked them to record their voice and judge it. Many of them were really critical, not good, not suitable, but then we created voice models with their voice and made an ALS patients to speak with those voices. And they suddenly realized how precious the voice is when it can be donated to others. So this is how Voice for Purpose was born, the largest library of donated voices in the world, the first flexible platform that can deliver to people expressive synthetic voices to any device through the cloud in real time. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, over 5,000 people donated their voices in 5 languages, and 100 users can now speak using our voices that are much better than the standard impersonal monotonic voices that are usually provided with. Think of Stephen Hawking's voice or something better. We developed this solution with a reference, a clinic research center for ALS, and went through all the way through measuring the impact. So when we compare the standard voices that are here reported in red, and the Voice for Purpose was in blue for the donated voices, and in green the self-donated voices, we see an improvement across the board from representation of oneself to the naturalness of pronunciation. Overall, the global impression score for standard voices is less than acceptable, while we score between good and very good, showing a significant improvement in quality of life of those people. So now we proved it's doable. we need support to scale. This is why we're here. We want to reach many more people who are silently waiting for a voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabio. Wow, this is really, really fascinating. I'm going to ask a question for Alessandro, 2 quick questions. The first one is, how do you plan to scale this? Like what would be the total number of languages or number of voices? What's the goal? What's next?
We are right now planning to do to approach the 25 languages of the European community, and basically making it available for people also at different pathologies. We have a little baby, 3 years old, in Spain, whose parents are basically looking for a way to make her speak, even if she will never be able to speak because of the Rett syndrome. So when you get to 3 years old, you reverse, you go backward instead of being forward. So you never learn how to speak. But having these voices, we found a donor, a little girl, 7 years old. So we can match the voice, not exactly a 3 years old baby, but of course she'll grow up. And then they will be able to experiment with different interfaces on how to connect figures and concepts to her voice, which is not her voice, it's someone else's voice. For example, this is one of the applications that we are doing now.
So you answered my second question too, which was going to be, tell us a great story. And that was just so really interesting. What a great case study. Other questions from Renato or Mary?
Just quick question. You talk about here self-donated voice. So there is a possibility for the person to record their own voice before they lose their voice and then use their own voice. Is that what it means?
Yeah, exactly. The concept is that we started from people who already lost their voice. And when you are diagnosed ALS, for example, or you have a cancer at your throat, sometimes you don't have even enough time to record your voice. You don't realize, you don't want to think that you lose your voice. And therefore you don't have samples that you can quickly. That's the other thing. We need to, in order to scale and support many people, we need to have a very simple process. And that's why we put everything on the web. You record your voice samples and the data set is collected. And then through the pipeline, we generate the voice model and we deliver to the users a unique key that they can load on any device. Could that be on mobile phone or an AAC specialized device or a tablet or whatever, that's also an innovation, because typically these things live only on a specific device and they are not flexible. So when your disease evolves, you lose your voice again.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was actually going to ask you, how usable it is, because at the end of the day, the point is to make their lives easier. So thank you for answering that question.
Thank you, Mary, Dragons, and Fabio.
Thanks,
What a
Fabio.
great way to end this, Fabio. Thank you very
Indeed.
much for sharing that. And that's it, actually the end of the second preliminary round. And in fact, our preliminary rounds, Alex.
Yeah, and what a great couple of rounds it was. And I do not envy the position that Mary and Renato and Alessandra are in now. They will begin their deliberations. In this particular, the 3cubed round, only the dragons will vote. But for those watching out there, we would invite you to join us for the final round. You will need a ticket to LocWorld in Monterey, but the audience vote is actually weighted 50% in that final round. So you can actually have a say in who wins the Innovator of the Year North America Award this year. So we hope you'll join us in Monterey on Tuesday, October 29th. I also want to take a second again to shout out Multilingual and Nimsy for being so generous. They've been supporters since we were in a back tiny little room at LocWorld. They've always been huge supporters of the pick, and we couldn't thank them more. Our winner will get a 2-page profile in a future magazine, and the second place winner will also get a 1-page white paper. So thanks very much to them. I also, on behalf of LocWorld's founders, Ulrich Hennis and Donna Parrish, I want to congratulate all of the innovators on a really successful and exciting round. It's so great to see the bar put ever higher. And thank you for bringing us your innovations. Dave, We got a month left until we're in Monterey. What are you looking forward to in our final round?
Well, as you nicely put it, the Dragons have the hard yards to walk now. We will be in touch with everyone during the next week as to how that's looking out and publish the results. And yeah, I think, you know, I haven't seen such a real array of innovations that kind of scoured. In the last couple of years, we've started to see a little bit more narrowing of the types of innovations, and it's kind of gone out again. So that's great to see. So just looking forward to seeing who lands in the final, and we'll be there to help them, get them up there, and see how they get on. So thank you to all the innovators. Thank you, Dragons. Thank you, everyone else listening in. Hope to see you in Monterey.
We'll see you in a few weeks in Monterey, everyone. And look at the PIC website next week. We will publish our results and the short list of 6 finalists by next Friday. So thanks, everyone, for joining us today, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.